So thank you again for coming. It's a pleasure to be here. It feels so good to look out and see all of your familiar, friendly faces, and thank you very much for bringing us to this wonderful place. Guided by our philosophy to always do the right thing for animals, regardless of the cost, regardless of the challenge, we have, through our companions and our volunteers and donors, improved the lives of thousands of animals in Connecticut. And we've been doing this for the past 10 years. Whether it's providing friendly family adoptions, affordable spay-neuter services, dog training, feral cat services, lobbying at the Capitol for animal-friendly laws. Our passionate staff and team of volunteers has been out there in the community for the past decade, changing and saving the lives of people and animals alike. And in some ways, from this day forward, much will remain the same with our companions. We'll continue supporting the community in the many ways we always have. But thanks to this sanctuary, there's one more critically needed way that we'll be able to serve the community and the animals in need. Now, we knew this undertaking was going to be hard. Did we know quite how hard? No. In fact, if we had known how hard this was going to be and that we'd have the headwinds of the Great Recession to contend with, we probably wouldn't be standing here today. But as we began this journey, despite the setbacks, we couldn't give up because you, our donors, wouldn't let us. We all understood how urgently needed the sanctuary was for the animals. And the investment that you have made as donors and volunteers provided us the ability, the resources, and most importantly, the inspiration to forge on even in the most difficult times. So now we recognize that, especially in terms of the sanctuary, we have just begun. Sure, we've accomplished a lot. Many of you know what existed here before. You can view the historical photos. We have a video on our website. But just demolishing this defunct factory farm, sized at nearly 2 football fields, and if you haven't seen it, if you hadn't smelt it, you really wouldn't have believed it. Many of you have. I mean, that in of itself was a Herculean task. I can't even begin to explain also all of the things that are underneath the ground that you don't see right now. The pipes, the tunnels, the drainage retention basins. I mean, basically, we have built the beginning of a 21-building housing complex from scratch in the woods. And it was the leadership of Zlatnik Construction to help a very challenging site. Very challenging site. A lot of ledge. But we do have a lot of work ahead of us. We have more cottages to build. We have 16 cottages, in fact, and to be perfectly blunt, the more we can build, the more lives we can save. So, however, I am proud and delighted, actually, to announce thanks to a few leadership donors, including an extraordinarily generous gift from our board chair, Valerie Friedman, and wonderful friends of the organization, Lita Orzik and Gail Epstein. I'm happy to report that we're nearly halfway towards phase 2 of the capital campaign of $700,000. This will allow us to build 2 more cottages, doubling our capacity to save animals here at the sanctuary. And our goal is to get construction going this spring, so you're not off the hook yet, buddy. And as I look at this beautiful cottage and I marvel at the wonderful work of Zlatnik Construction in this beautiful town of Ashford, you know, it's my hope that it's not just, this facility isn't just going to revolutionize the way that animals are rehabilitated, but it'll transform the rescue experience for people as well. And I'm happy to report in a matter of weeks, we'll be opening our program center in Manchester, Connecticut. This will be a facility that will house our adoption events, our feral cat programs, our dog training programs, and a whole new array of humane education programs for children and adults. And as such, it gives me great pleasure to report that from this point forward, much like the animals here, our companions will have a home. This is something we haven't had before, so we're delighted for that. And for those of you who have been to our world headquarters in Bloomfield, you get the joke. There are so many people that I'd like to thank. I could list literally hundreds, but I will keep it brief in the interest of time. First, Greg and your team, thank you very much. Thank you. We did not know what we were doing, and he recognized that and has been volunteering for the last decade to help us, and I appreciate it very much, Greg. I encourage everyone to visit. He has a booth there. There's a lot of information about the buildings that were here before and the whole construction project, so if that interests you, please visit the folks at Blotnick Construction. I'd also like to thank our talented and dedicated board of directors and advisors, Damon Scott and Scott Haney. You've always been there for us and the animals, and I thank you, and the animals have no better friend than you two. I'd like to recognize the late KK McLean. KK was our first donor, someone who and her son Dick McLean, who continues to support our organization. And I don't see her here, but I think she is. I wanted to recognize Gail Perkins-Jem. Is she here? Gail? Gail, there you are. Gail actually was introduced by Damon Scott on one of the many shout-outs on the radio. Gail, you invested us in our organization back in the early days when nobody believed in us. You did, and I want to thank you for that. And thank all of you who are here today for the many personal ways you've contributed and helped bring us to this special moment. Now, we're going to begin the ribbon-cutting ceremony and some tours shortly. So for those board members and officials who are involved in the ceremony, if you please follow Mara and make your way up to the front of the rescue cottage. But before we begin that, it's my pleasure to introduce an old friend, meaning I knew him for a long time. He's not dead. Oh no. It's a sign, Scott. It's a sign.
Show up, shit happens.
Yeah. Scott Haney is here. He's going to tell us about some special animals. We've just begun accepting pets just days before. So right now we have 3 dogs and half a dozen cats. But by the end of the month we'll be at full capacity. We'll have 5 to 7 dogs and 25 cats. So Scott's going to tell us a little bit about some of the friends that we're going to meet on our tours.
Hello everybody. Thank you so much for coming today. Just briefly, you know, Damon and I, we show up at these press conferences, and everybody comes up to us and they say, "Thank you so much for what you do. Thank you so much." No. We are just the faces of the media. It's the people that are sitting in this crowd. It's all the people with the name badges. It's all the people that are back there. It's Susan, who are here every single day, 365 days a year. The people that are doing the work. And if we can lend a face to this cause, we are so more than happy to do that. And it's Susan, there are very few numbers that I know by heart, but 242-9999 extension 301 is one of them. Because I don't know if you can imagine how many emails I get every day that say, I need to put my pet down, I need nurse, I need care, I need money for my pet. And I just say, start with Susan Linker, and then we'll work it, and then we'll take it from there. And Susan has just been a great resource. I envision Susan taking over the whole, and I know you think I might be kidding, but I'm not. There are so many different town little organizations, so many different rescue organizations. I envision Susan taking them all over, and they all have to funnel through here, and we can have little adjunct offices all across the state of Connecticut. Wouldn't that be awesome? Because the funding has to start at a big place, and then Susan's the smart one and knows where it all can be funneled so we can help all these different animals all across the state. So, and Susan, when you run for governor, if you don't raise my taxes, I'll vote for you. I met Susan back in 1999 when I did my first story with Connecticut Humane Society, and she was there, and she was like, I gotta get out of here, there's a nut running this place. And I was like, all right. And I'm not mentioning any names, but that nut has been cracked and is no longer there. And then she went on to the American Red Cross, and I was like, it's a great opportunity for her, but not seeing it. I think the fit will be better back with the animals. And then a year later, she was back with this unbelievable project. And as you can see, it's just amazing. I stood here years ago. I have all the footage of the rotten chicken coops. It was a den of death. Yes. It was a den of death. And she said, I'm going to turn this horrible parcel of land into a dream. And she's done it. And I just couldn't be... I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
It's unbelievable.
Thank you.
So... And, Mitch, I know you're the guy in the back. We should give Mitchell a round of applause, too, because he puts up with Susan. I'm just going to read. I was in there, and pardon me if I have white hair all over me. I'm actually in the middle of the Birdies for the Brave golf tournament at Cromwell. I left on the 11th hole. I drove here, and as soon as I'm done speaking, I'm going back to play golf for the Birdies for the Brave, which is another unbelievable organization. And I have white cat hair all over me because this little baby Spunky, I might have to take him home with me. Willow is a breathtakingly beautiful long-haired black cat who was abandoned outside. Thankfully, he was able to find food at a nearby feral cat colony. When the feral cats did not let him share the food, he was unable to eat due to the pain he felt in his mouth from agonizing dental disease. When he was rescued, he was matted and emaciated. Today, while still shy, he loves people and will knead on your lap for hours. I love it. I love it. That's Willow. This feline trio, Bella, Pepe, and Spunky, all siblings. I didn't know they were siblings. They look a little bit of alike.
Yeah,
they have 4 legs and tails. They're all siblings. They lived for 6 years in a loving family until, unfortunately, the family fell on hard times and was unable to spend time or money on them. For 2 years, they suffered from physical neglect and a deep lack of attention. When they arrived here, their teeth, they were so badly rotten that their nerves were exposed. After much TLC and dental surgery, they are feeling great these days and love greeting all the visitors and guests. And I got to tell you, Spunky, if I get one more cat, I'm technically a lesbian, so I cannot do that. It's bad enough trying to tell all the gay guys that I have 3 cats in a Subaru. It's awful. All right. Roxy is a beautiful Russian blue who was found abandoned outside. I mean, I go through the Homestead Avenue every day. Cats are crisscrossing in front of me every day. And I actually got one of my cats, Dash, on exit 50 on 84. A 5-week-old kitten crossed 84, westbound, made it across, went over the Jersey barrier, went over the other 3 lanes, and the guy in front of me was in a construction truck. We both saw him. We both got out, ran down 84 after this kitten, and he finally got it. Thank God he got bit by my cat, but he wasn't my cat at this point. And he handed it to me, and he said, "This one's for you." And I was like... And he's 8 years old now, and he's Dash because the truck that I had borrowed that day, my cat, the kitten, 5 weeks old, smelled like a dumpster, crawled up into the dashboard, and was behind the odometer. They took him 2.5 hours to get the odometer shelf off and put the dashboard back on. So that's why his name is Dash. Sunny is a big, beautiful orange and white double-pawed sweetheart. She was in her little cage, her little shelter in there, taking a little nap. Canine guest, if you haven't been downstairs, Tinka is a 7-pound senior Chihuahua. She went up there and she went, "Quiero Taco Bell." She lost her home because her owners became ill and unable to physically and financially care for her. She has a disease called Cushing's disease that requires daily medication. While she is the smallest of the current canine guests here, she is definitely the gal in charge. Barney is a beautiful brindle young pit bull terrier, and he is exquisite and an ambassador for the breed. He was found as a stray and lived in the pound for months. He's great with people and other dogs, and especially loves his new friend Fred, who we met at the sanctuary. Fred was found by the workers in a town garage one morning after being abandoned there by someone the night before. He's a senior who is part Cocker Spaniel and probably part Lab. When he and Barney met, they immediately hit it off. They love to do everything together and have become great buddies who take great comfort in each other. Just some wonderful stories from our companions. This is just the very beginning. Just the very beginning of these wonderful stories. And again, we have Susan and Maria and the whole staff. Thank you so much for all you're doing, and we will be behind you every step of the way. And I have that $2,000 check. I was asked to do a public appearance last week, and I didn't want to do it. I got to be honest. So I said no, and they said, "We'll pay you $5,000 if you do the event." And I said, "Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to take cash," but I said, "I can take $5,000 and give it to charity." So Susan got $2,000 of it, and another charity got $3,000. My alma mater, who trained me, Syracuse University, who I got my first internship with, they got $3,000, and Susan got $2,000. So thank you so much.
To acknowledge some special guests that are here from the state of Connecticut, the Department of Agriculture. Commissioner Verbitsky is here with us today. George Trepka, give a hug. And Ray Connors. These gentlemen have been so helpful successful in our legislative pursuits and have been very patient with our tenacity about trying to change everything right now for the animals. So thank you for being part of this event. We really appreciate it.